The balcony scene where Troy and Robin go at it is infamous in the 1997 film Waiting to Exhale. Robin finds herself fed up with Troy after he seems to exhibit tendencies of addiction. Her wallet came up missing, and he shows up late to dates, if at all. Comment as you watch us discuss Robin and Troy's story, and let us know all the red flags you see along the way. You know, the ones that Robin apparently missed.
I'm Heit.
And I'm Cheri.
And you've discovered Axiom Amnesia.
We want to thank all of the supporters who helped to make this video possible. If you want your name to appear alongside these contributors, make a one-time donation via Cash App or click the thanks button on this video, or you can head on over to patreon.com/axiomamnesia or become a channel member by clicking the join button to enjoy all of the benefits of becoming a monthly subscriber. Okay, so cut to the next scene. She's like, I've only known Troy for 3 days, but I feel close to him already.
I've only known Troy for 3 days, but already I feel close to him.
You know, he smokes, but I could live with one bad
Man,
habit.
you just sitting with your friends smoking. Come on.
I wish he didn't smoke, but I can live with one bad habit.
But not even just about the smoking. It's funny to me that she's like, I've known him 3 days and I feel close to him. Girl, like, Robin is desperate. That's really what it is. That's why she's flittering around. Like, to be such a beautiful woman physically, like, she's clearly desperate. Sadly desperate.
So McKelty Williamson plays Troy, and they go to this party, and he comes in and he does this dance. I don't know what this dance is. But it reminds me of somebody I know because they would kind of do that dance like jokingly. And I don't think they got it from the movie because I think they were doing it before the movie came out. But yeah, it's very funny. So every time I see that, it just makes me laugh.
But he's like so extra. And then, you know, he comes into this party and we just, first of all, we had to talk about Robin's dress. The dress was everything for the 90s. Now, maybe it looks way out of style now, but I remember seeing this dress and I was like, ooh, I love that dress. And, you know, so yeah, I did love that dress back then.
If you look at how everyone's dressed at the party, she got on her white dress. Everybody got these grays and light tan browns.
There's a white dress, yeah.
Yeah. And this guy comes on like a cowboy in dark clothes.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite Caucasian Wild Bill. Right.
She's walking through the party after Troy has left her to go off with his friend who came and got him. And she finally finds Troy in the back and he's making some type of under the table deal, literally under the table. It's clear what type of environment this is. This is not her scene. And, you know, she has this thought like, if I'm going to be dealing with this, I might as well be with Russell.
Might as well be with Russell if I'm going to deal with this shit.
She still is struggling to kind of find her place.
Troy, I'm ready to go.
Come on, woman.
No, I'm ready to go now.
At the end of it, she's like, I'm ready to go. She wants to leave this party. She is not having any kind of patience for what he's doing. She hasn't quite completely figured him out, but this is just clearly not her scene. So in the next scene, we see Robin get home with Troy.
Hey, see? Told you about all that.
And she's got an attitude because she didn't like what she said. She's realizing that Troy is basically a smooth talking druggie and she doesn't want to deal with it. And so Troy comes in and he's like,
Am I gonna have to tame you?
I know.
Girl, am I gonna have to whip it out and tame you? Am I gonna have to tame you?
That was like one of his best lines that he had to say. And, you know, he comes in and he's just like, you know, being all sexual with her and stuff. But he knows exactly how to manipulate her. And so she's all hard and cold as ice. And then he comes up behind her and he's trying to be nice. He said, well, you know, this comes at a bad time because she's like, look, maybe we need some distance.
I think we should cool out for a while.
And he's like, yeah, my mama and them want to meet you. You know, I want you to come and my mama and family.
My mother wanted me to invite you over for a barbecue.
This is a significant thing, right? When you're meeting somebody's family. So he's like, I know if I throw that out, that'll be a nice little hook for her, you know?
Why do you want me to meet your mother? I have only known you for 3 days.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, you think I'm making this up because you mad? Then all of a sudden she's like, well, I'm just going to stick around after she basically was like, I'm done with you. So all he got to do is say, hey, you, my mama want to meet you. And she say, no man ever asked me to meet his mother before.
No man ever asked me to meet his mother before.
Maybe he's not that much into that stuff.
Maybe he's not into this stuff all that much.
So now she's rationalizing away the stuff his character that she's now been exposed to.
Well, and why?
Because he said, because he seemed to kind of be like a family person, or no man ever wanted me to meet his mama.
Because she's got a low self-concept issue. And a lot of people struggle with this. And I think we've seen and known people who it doesn't even matter what they look like on the outside. If they feel a certain way about themselves in a certain category of their life, then they're behaving the way that they feel about themselves, right? So she's very confident in her career. That's not a problem. But when it comes to these relationships and her worth with men, to men, and what she should be demanding of these people who she's, with whom she's keeping time, there's a problem there. And she's like, no man ever asked me that. So like she has never felt worthy, or hasn't interpreted her worthiness through how these men are treating her, by them even feeling like she was worthy of meeting their family. Like you're this age, or whatever age that is, mid-20s, I'm thinking. And you've never met a guy's family, but you done been with all these guys just in the, it's been a handful of guys in the movie already. Not to mention, what came before that, right? This is the crux of her problem, is that she doesn't know how to demand the right things for herself, and of course, I mean, in your 20s, you're learning, you're young, but this is it. If you're in your 20s now, make sure you're demanding the right things for yourself, but she doesn't know how. So any little crumb somebody throws at her, she's lapping it up. She's like, okay, because now he's saying I'm good enough. He's saying I'm good enough, right? And it's kind of sad.
Girl, Russell's been paging me all day, but I'm through with him. I'm seeing Troy now.
Savannah is talking to Robin on the phone, and they're talking about Troy and his drug problem, right?
Yeah, but you know what he does, Robin.
He says he only does it sometimes.
And Whitney Houston is Savannah, who says, what do you expect him to say? I'm a crackhead.
Girl, what do you expect him to say? I'm a crackhead?
Now, the history that we know about Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown and all that.
Bruh, don't do my girl.
I'm not, but that's the first thing I thought of when I saw this in today's eyes.
Well, Diane Sawyer.
Yeah, Diane Sawyer. Her. What do you expect Whitney Houston to say? I'm a crackhead? Like, all of this stuff, but it's very crazy coming from this character.
And then we have to just get the whole crack is whack thing. So to get back to Robin, the issue here is that she's trying to justify her continuing to see Troy, even though she knows clearly he has a drug problem. And it's not like, oh, I, drink a little too much, or I smoke, like he's on cocaine or something like that. So like it's more significant than that. Red flags early, like you probably known this dude a week,
Yeah.
Red flags. And it's just like, don't go forward with it. And her friend is trying to tell her like, girl, look, and then Robin is like, well, Russell, her old guy, who we still don't even know who Russell is. We've just heard things about Russell, right? But we know he's a cheater and she has this history with him. And Russell keeps calling and trying to, engage her. And she's like, but I'm with Troy now. But you ain't even really with Troy, because Troy is with his drugs.
I don't know if it's to that level. So what I see is it's blown up. You seen him at a party, probably just having party fun, right? And now it's, what do you expect him to say? I'm a crackhead, right? But I don't think it's been shown that he has a drug problem.
Okay, so let me just go out on a limb here and let me just say this. If you were a person who pretty much operates in completely drug-free environments, or you don't even do like the smallest amount of, you're not even smoking weed or anything like that, and when you encounter something that is a hard drug, like I don't know if somebody was with heroin or cocaine or something, then that there's no sliding scale of I do a little coke.
But
like
is a sliding scale.
But what I'm telling you is, to a person who has that life experience and that is their culture,
I know.
You're a crackhead.
I didn't get that, but
I'm sorry.
I didn't get to that.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, it's not that he is this strung out person on drugs. She seen him get some drugs, right? I don't even know if he had time to do it at the party. And then now you have this whole thing of possibly having a drug problem when what you don't like is that he's involved in these sort of drugs.
What is she supposed to think? So you're feeling like she jumped to a conclusion.
You jump to a conclusion, but what is wrong with saying, I don't want to deal with people who do these activities?
Okay,
right?
so
Instead
that's your
of
point
blowing
of
it up.
demarcation.
Yeah, instead of blowing it up like, okay, people who do these things are then, because to me, if you say this person is strung out on drugs, then I'm looking at them differently, like they have an actual problem.
I see.
And need some sort of different compassion than some recreational user who is basically just doing this stuff to have a good time.
That's a good point.
Whose
that you bring
lifestyle
up.
I'm not into.
If you're functioning and you're doing that, because he clearly is like functioning, so he hasn't hit like a rock bottom type of scenario, where he's all strung out, even with, because he's able to kind of get along enough. But as we move on, we might feel a little differently about that. But I don't know. The red flags are there, and who in their right mind wants to be bothered?
And then the thing of powder versus crack. When you had the powder, we seen how crack really tore up things and how the addiction was different, right? And then that basically Whitney Houston in real life pointing out the differences in crack versus cocaine and that mattering.
Yeah, because she did say, I'm too rich to do crack.
Yeah, because
I would never do crack.
The powder was just like this thing that rich people done, and they go to their parties kind of like this, do it, and whatever, I don't know, Studio 52 or whatever.
54.
Studio 54 and all that, and just living their good old lives, right? Which is a different lifestyle than someone who would be an actual crackhead. And basically, I just find it ironic that this scene is like this, and this is in this movie in 1995.
It's not lost on me, the whole irony of the Whitney Houston part of it. And those of you who've been watching long enough, you know that Whitney Houston is my absolute favorite singer of all time. And, I have a real hard time, even though I keep it real about Whitney, I cannot have her be besmirched, but this is the truth. So we must tell the truth. But, back to this idea of crack versus, but to me, I'm just like, aside from the compassion that is needed for people who have, problems with drug addiction, it's like, if this is your involvement, like, I don't care if you sell cocaine or if you sell crack.
Yeah.
It don't matter to me. It's all in the same bucket, and I ain't trying to be bothered.
Right.
Like, to me, that's the deal.
Okay, if I'm saying, if you know somebody, running out on somebody who is doing something recreationally is different than running out on somebody who has a drug problem. And I'm looking at the person who left differently in those situations.
So here's my question. You ain't known this man a week.
Yeah, exactly.
So are you even running out on him? What if he was like a straight crackhead? What if she walked in and he was like doing actual crack?
I don't think that matters, because she is going forward with it. So now you done accepted whatever it is. You may not know, but you're assuming that he's already strung out, but you're still going to go and meet his family and stuff and continue on with the relationship.
Because Robin is a fool.
Yeah. That's so why. If it's somebody the person doesn't know, then I'm not looking at them as the same as someone who was with someone and then they later got involved in those drugs.
Well, and then, let's just talk about the repercussions. I know that we are like veering way off the beaten path here, but I'm just thinking, all right, if I'm Savannah, Robin is my, friend or whatever in my friend group. And then I know that she's dating this guy who, as we hear later, little things that he did, stuff coming up missing and whatever, and I know this behavior is going on. Like, I'm going to have to distance myself a little bit from you, Robin, because I can't have you bringing somebody into my fold with these type of risky behaviors.
Yeah, but
I'm just keeping that real.
We're not there yet, but what I think was good about this movie is that they didn't do it like all the other movies where like Jungle Fever and Sugar Hill, I think you brought up last time, right?
Yeah.
Where they're just so overt about it, right? This is like a guy at a party who's had something passed to him. The other ones, their people are just completely strung out, and you can just make that any sort of judgment right in that moment because they're so far gone. This is like a little subtle. Oh, somebody's on some drug.
Yeah.
Right. It's not to the point where, okay, now they're outside begging and leaving their kid on side the fire and stuff, you know, outside the crack house.
Well, it points to the functioning addict, right? So somebody who, you know, like, or how they used to call them like weekend alcoholics and stuff like that. So you have people who are able to kind of function mostly normally, but then they have this other element in their life. And all I'm saying, and I'm certainly not justifying my perspective on some of this, but I would just say this. We are all products of the time in which we grew up. And, you know, my programming as a child was say no to drugs and that whole thing. And so, you know, like think about and I don't want to use the word brainwashing, but that's essentially kind of what it was. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was like brainwashing, you know, all the movies you see of, you know, this is, you know, the egg cracked. It's like, this is your brain. This is your brain on drugs and the egg is frying in a pan.
This is your brain. This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs.
You know, and I will admit those things did work on me. So when I became a young adult and later an adult, you know, that just wasn't something that I got into. Hey, whatever people want to do in their life, that's their business. I'm not trying to tell them what to do. But at the end of the day, for me, my line is what my line is. And I look at that like, nope.
Right. So what they did good with this story is the story is not about any of that, right? It's just about basically what these four characters and what's best for them. So it don't matter if he all the way strung out and you should or shouldn't have compassion for him, or whether or not you're sexually harassing Mike or not. It's just about you getting what you want in the end and being able to exhale or whatever.
Well, let's go back to what does Robin want? Robin wants a man to be good to her, that she has this, you know, good balance with sexually and all that business, right? And she also wants him to, I think she wants him to be a man's man, right? Where he's a little bit traditional, but allowing her at the same time to be this 90s woman who is very, you know, on the cusp of everything. You know, I think that to me, that's what it seems like she has expressed that she wanted. And this dude ain't it. He ain't gonna be able to do that, especially if you know, doing some of the stuff we are later to see that he does. And Savannah really is a good friend. Savannah's like, girl, what you did in 3 days, besides screw the man, that is making you so great that you need to come home and meet his mama.
A barbecue? Please, girl.
Like, give me a break. So clearly in her mind, you know, the whole idea of meeting his mother is a lie. That probably ain't even probably no barbecue going on, right? But in addition to that, we find out that, you know, Robin, what'd she say, her wallet is missing?
Yeah.
Now I can't seem to find my wallet anywhere.
Oh, that really surprises me, Robin.
Child, you knew this man 3 days and your wallet is missing. It's over.
What? He probably didn't even take the wallet.
Okay. It's over. Sir, do you have my wallet?
But she should not even have gotten to the point where she is entertaining going to meet his mama. If this dude is possibly doing drugs, then, and you're not into that, then that's it.
Well, here's
she was like, "Oh, smoking is a red flag," but then not just smoking, he's snorting now.
She keep moving the bar, you know, and then it makes me think. The people who feel like this, you're giving chance after chance after chance after red flag for these guys, right? Who you clearly recognize it ain't it. You knew day 1, you knew day 3 that this guy had red flags, right? But then these will be the same people who are like, cut off your mama and them if they try to ask you for money. You know, thinking about the video that we did right on Soul Food. Terry's whole family was trash because they wanted her to help them. You know, it'll be those same people, but you giving chance after chance after chance to these randoms because you don't have good self-esteem.
But look, Michael got dumped real fast.
Michael got dumped with the quickness. Before we get this scene going, I have to just set the scene. I told you in the last video that we did about Bernadine that this was one of the most iconic scenes and genius in the area of the music that was used. Babyface, right? He did the score for the movie as well as the soundtrack. And so this scene is a perfect scene, and we'll walk through exactly why.
You ready, baby?
I'm not going.
Troy shows up clearly late, and he's talking to Robin while she's sitting out on her balcony, and he's showing up for this supposed barbecue or whatever with his family that she's supposed to meet. He's wearing like no shirt and this leather vest in the hot sun, and in the background is playing this da na 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 da na na na, and what that is the theme to Romeo and Juliet. And so you got to just have some respect for the fact that Babyface figured out how to put the theme to Romeo and Juliet. There is this movie that I was referencing, and it came out in 1968. It's Romeo and Juliet.
But thou love me. Let them find me here.
And so this theme song that you hear playing in the background during this balcony scene is the theme from Romeo and Juliet. And so if we want to, so this is a kind of a clue in adding to the irony of this scene where in the movie Romeo and Juliet and in the book, of course, or the play, what's going on is that Romeo and Juliet are basically declaring their love for one another and making plans for the next day. So they're coming together in the balcony scene of Romeo and Juliet. And clearly in the Waiting to Exhale balcony scene, they are not coming together. They are breaking up. There are problems. Basically, Troy shows up 2 hours late and she's like, I'm not going. And she's not trying to hear it. So in his discussions, he winds up confessing, like, what is he supposed to tell his mother and the rest of them and his son, his 13-year-old son, who she had no idea even existed, right?
Your son? How old is his son?
He's almost 13.
So it's just coming out more and more. He clearly is some type of inebriate, under some influence. He seems drunk or high or whatever the heck. And, and so he even tries to bang on the door. He's completely making a scene in her apartment complex. And, she's not having it. She's done. But let us not forget that one of the reasons why she's done is because Russell has rolled through and done his job. So she has the strength to, get rid of Troy because Russell came by.
Yeah. But she didn't ask about him having children or anything. I guess you just assume that they don't or something. Because it would be that he lied if you didn't know that he had a child by now. 3-4 days.
I don't know.
And she said, "Oh, you didn't ask me. You told me basically about going to the barbecue."
You should have asked me before committing me.
I did ask.
No, you told me.
But no, you agreed to go after Robin said that, she was basically done, wanted to take a break. Then she agreed to go and meet his mama.
Well, and we know that Robin is on that BS because Robin has gotten some of that D from Russell. So she's just switching guys. That's all. She's kicking him to the curb. But if Russell had not come over, she would have been mad, but she would have been gathering her purse up and her keys and heading on to the barbecue.
Either way, she was still sitting there waiting on him, acting like she was reading a book or something. She waited 2 hours out there on the balcony.
Well, and let's ask that question about the kid to the comment. So if a person is starting to date a new person, should they know they have children within the first 3 or 4 days? I feel kind of like, yes, because that's just the initial, that's the part of the who are you sort of thing.
The initial, that's one of the first things you're going to know if we're doing 1995 internet, age, sex, location, children.
Yeah, you got any kids? You got to,
what are your living? Well, I guess the living arrangements wouldn't matter if the kid don't live with you, but you're gonna ask if somebody have a kid. I just assume.
I mean, it would come up because you're talking about the most basics about your life, and you would think that a child would be in those conversations. So I have to hold Troy responsible for that. Do you think she would have gone with him if Russell hadn't come by?
No, I don't. I think it was just too much, and Savannah had already gotten in her ear. So just showing up late was just enough, I think.
For her to just kick him to the curb. Troy tries to sweet talk her, and she's not having any of it. And when he realizes that all of his different tactics he uses are not going to work, then he's giving her his tirade and, is angry with her. And he's like, a lot of women would be happy to come and meet my mama.
Bruh.
Do you have any idea how many women would love to take them to my house so they can meet my mother?
Troy goes on this whole tirade about black women and stuff and calls them the B word and stuff.
Man, you black bitches is all the same.
Bitch!
Because he showed up late and basically didn't disclose that he had kids, but that's arguable, right?
Complain all the time about don't nobody want your asses. Don't know how to treat you.
And then he ends it with, then you wonder why we go out with white women.
Then you wonder why we go out with white women.
Well, and then let's talk about what he says. He said, you act, you basically don't know how to act when somebody is treating you right, Yeah. You say folks don't treat you right, somebody show you some genuine interest, and then you don't know how to act. You act simple.
As soon as a man or brother show you genuine interest, you bitches act simple.
But that's not what he was doing.
No, not at all. He
Yeah.
was on that BS too.
Right. And we talked about Bernadine's story. Y'all go check that video out where her husband left her for a white woman.
Right.
Right. So this is basically trying to say that, the different sides to it, because he wasn't treating his wife right. It
No.
doesn't appear. But this guy is also like, okay, the reason that this happens is because black women don't know how to act when they're treated right. But from everything we've seen in the movie, from him and from John, Bernadine's husband or ex-husband, is that's not what happened.
Right.
That's not. So I think that's a commentary on, such a thing.
Yeah, and then putting the responsibility back on the person who is the victim of your bad behavior. You got a lot of nerve.
You raggedy bitch.
Take your drunk ass, stinky ass home.
But Robin stands her ground with it, and she is not having it. So in the end, he winds up throwing oranges on her balcony or at her while she's on her balcony, and even calls her a tramp. Casually just calls her a tramp.
Have a fruit bowl, tramp.
And has all of these negative words. And it's funny because she wasn't a tramp when you were trying to go out with her, supposedly, but the disrespect never ends.
She probably was, and he just accepted it.
Well, put it this way, you weren't calling her a tramp.
Right.
That's what I mean. Because Robin, may have been loose.
Yeah, and he might have liked that, right? And didn't care, but then it becomes an insult after the fact.
Mm-hmm. But let's get back to, so we were talking about that this is from Romeo and Juliet. And I feel like that's one of the things that makes this genius. It's like a genius little nugget that if you recognize it, it just gives a whole nother dimension to this. Because here, Romeo and Juliet are coming together on the balcony and these two are clearly breaking up.
And he throws some oranges at her and say, have a fruit basket. She throws the orange back, hits him, and then the music ends with a comedic orchestral hit. So it goes.
It's like that. It's like that then.
Bye.
And I mean, it's funny. This was a good scene. And so I was crediting Babyface for it because, for placement of this music and having done the score. But you were saying it could also have been the director as well.
Yeah, because you could have the directors or whoever come with the ideas. Oh, and it'll be like the Romeo and Juliet balcony scene. What if we used the music and then maybe Babyface played it, or you know what I'm saying, did whatever composing of it, right, to use it anew. But yeah, I don't think it's necessarily the composer of the scores who come up with the ideas
for all the songs,
especially for something that's going to be specific, like could definitely be part of the filmmaker's vision. That to make it, can we get the music from Romeo and Juliet for this scene? Right.
So Forrest Whitaker was the director of Waiting to Exhale. So between Forrest Whitaker and Babyface, they came together, and this scene I just think was genius, and it was funny. And even though he says some very stinging things, I think that the way that it ends on this comedy note kind of takes away a little bit of the burn.
Yeah, because that's one thing. Besides Bernadine's story, I think that it was very light, most of the stuff. But the whole burn and all his stuff and showing her tremendous anger was just something that just wasn't even killed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're right.
So, Robin, I guess you know who's got your wallet. You think he stole it?
Savannah's like, so Robin, you know who got your wallet? And she believes that Troy stole it
Yeah.
because he was late and drunk.
Because he was a drug addict in her mind.
But still,
And he's doing drug addict things.
see, you don't need friends like this who leading you down the wrong path logically.
Well, but she led her down the right path as far as the outcome.
All right,
sure.
but saying like, hey, somebody done stole something from you because they were late and drunk. Like, come on now.
Do you think Troy stole the wallet?
I don't know.
I think he stole the wallet. Seems like something he would do because he's, I don't want to call him a con artist. He's just like a slickster, clearly. Somebody who's just smooth talking, slick. Does that make him a thief? Maybe not. He seems, when he's not drunk, maybe nice most of the time. He had been nice up to this moment.
Yeah.
Even though he was weird and, like a druggie.
What was he going to do? Keep stealing her wallet too? Like.
Y'all, now we got to go to the comments. Do you all think that Troy actually stole her wallet or not?
They'll be like,
yes
Savannah, don't like the man. That mean he did it.
Well, I don't know. You was the only one there where my wallet at then.
She was there too.
She ain't stole
She
her
was
own
everywhere
wallet?
her wallet was. You can lose your wallet.
Okay.
See?
All right. I mean.
She was everywhere her wallet was.
Y'all, I think she stole it.
You think Troy stole it?
I mean, that's what I meant. I think Troy stole it. I'm still with the original vision.
I don't know.
Troy stole the wallet.
I don't know that he stole it.
You trying to stand up. Troy stole that wallet.
If you made it this far in the video, type late and drunk in the comments so we'll know you're one of the real ones who watched the film breakdown to the end.
But just so that you know, when you become a channel member, you become one. We only have one membership, which is on the Axiom Amnesia main channel. You get access to all of the of the exclusive videos and also any live streams that we do. And you'll also get access to like early releases, because one of the things that we're trying to do in 2024 is, have more and more consistent content, even more content for everybody. But you get like first look at all this stuff if you are a channel member or a patron. And we also like the people who, we understand if you can't give every month, that's fine. But the people who Cash App us, we love that. That just helps to keep the channel going because we're doing our best to provide all of this to you.